What is up? John Morris here, back with another episode of The John Morris Show. So, my dad was a smoker, and I can still, he smoked every day until probably about his mid-30s before I've talked about, him and my little brother and I were in a car accident, and that left him quadriplegic from that point forward. Anyway, before that accident, he used to smoke a couple packs a day. He smoked in the house. And I remember there was always this thick fog of smoke that would just kind of smother you everywhere that you went in the house. And I mean, looking back on it now, knowing what we know now, it was kind of messed up, especially what we know with secondhand smoke and all that. But this was kind of back in the 80s, so it's kind of one of those things. Anyway, I remember one day, two of my brothers had, of course, seen him smoking, and they decided they were going to try it. So they stole a pack of my dad's cigarettes, and they went out to the barn, and they went to town on them, probably feeling pretty cool, I would imagine. And of course, as always happens with kids, they got caught. And my dad's punishment, instead of, this was the 80s, so instead of maybe a spanking or yelling or grounding or whatever, my dad actually said to them, okay, you want to smoke? Fine, you smoke. You're going to smoke this newspaper. And he sat there and made them roll up page after page of this newspaper that we had in the house and smoke it. And no, I know it sounds crazy, but that's not something that I'm making up. It's one of the family stories we tell every time we get together. And one of my brothers that had to smoke that newspaper in particular, I think, was affected by it because he likes to talk about it quite a bit. Anyway, neither of them, as you might imagine, never smoked again. However, at the time, watching this, I remember thinking to myself, what a hypocrite. Like, how are you going to sit there and tell us not to smoke when I got to sit here and choke down your secondhand smoke every single day? Like, I'm living in this fog of your smoke, yet you're going to be so hard on these guys about them smoking. So that was kind of what I thought at the time. But now I kind of get it. I'm older, I've got my own kids, and it makes a little more sense to me that as adults, sometimes we develop habits that aren't good habits, and we want our kids to be better than us, to not pick up our nasty habits, and to do all the things that we never did, to try all the things that we never tried, to go all the places that we never went. And however screwed up his method might have been, and obviously not condoning this as a parenting method, it still did work. My brothers never came close to cigarettes again after that. And I bring this up because it kind of reminds me of learning how to code. I often talk about all the dumb mistakes that I made teaching myself PHP. You've probably heard some of those episodes, and how I was stubborn and I was arrogant, and I thought I was dumb if I couldn't just figure it all out myself, and I didn't want anybody's help, and I tried to do everything the hard way. And I talk about that kind of stuff, and I bring it up because I want you to be better, to not be a stubborn, arrogant a-hole like I was, to not spend years learning when you could be doing, when you could be making your living as a coder sooner rather than later. If you think about it, you might feel smarter for figuring it out on your own, but in the long run, it's actually, in my opinion, dumb to make it take longer than it has to. Because you have to think about how many years you will have wasted. How much money will you have left on the table? How much further along could you have been in your career? How much longer could you have been doing something you enjoy and being happy? And feeling proud of what you accomplished, and being able to take care of your family and give them everything that you've always wanted to give them, do all the things that you've always wanted to do. How much longer could you be doing all of that stuff and living that life instead of slaving away at some miserable job you hate, or making pennies, dealing with people you can't stand, all because you were too stubborn or too arrogant or too self-righteous to get some help and maybe even invest a few bucks in your learning. So all I know, I don't know everything, but all I know is that I've gone that route, and it sucks. Now, I'm not going to sit here and make you smoke a newspaper, but I do want you to seriously think about that. Now, I bring this up because I'm going to mention, as I do at in a lot of these videos, that Udemy is running another one of its $10 deals. And as soon as I say that, I can only imagine kind of all the eye rolling and guffawing that went on, or that's going to go on. The here we go again, he's doing it again, that sort of thing. And I feel like that's a mistake. Because if you think about it, if someone came to you and said they could just download all the information you needed to know for you to go out tomorrow and get hired at a tech job or to start freelancing, and it would only cost you $10, wouldn't that choice be obvious? Or, maybe it takes 5 courses and it's $50, or 10 courses and $100. Hell, even if it took 100 courses and it cost you $1,000, wouldn't it still be worth it to start living that life and get away from maybe the life that you're in now that you really don't want to be in? Wouldn't even that extreme still be worth it? Personally, I feel like it would. Now, of course, it's not going to take 100 courses. So, forgive an old man who had an old school dad who made his kids smoke newspapers, but man, get out of your head with this stuff. Look at the bigger picture and take advantage of stuff like this. At the very least, seriously consider it. Like, don't let all the instant excuses that I'm sure are coming up right now in your head of, John is this or he's that, or it's just another pitch, this, that, all of that stuff. Just forget all of that for a second and actually take a second to rationally analyze what the opportunity is. I think so many people take this stuff for granted these days and don't look at the bigger picture. And I want you to, at the very least, just stop and think about it for a second and actually analyze it for what it is. And then whatever you do, start taking some sort of action. It may not be this, it may not be anything that I ever recommend to you, but start doing something. Far too many people sit around dreaming about what they want their life to be and never actually take any real serious or significant steps towards doing it. Or they approach it in a way where they're just trying to do it and make it as hard as possible, as harder than they have to. So I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to make that same mistake that I did. And then, again, at the very least, just take some time and seriously think about this. And if you're ready, let's make this thing happen for you. Anyway, if you want to take advantage of this particular opportunity, the link is johnmorrisonline.com/August. That will trigger the discount for you. You'll be able to get all of their courses site-wide, every course for everybody, just $10. This one ends September 1st at 12:01 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you want to make sure and jump on that. All right, that'll do it for this episode. Be sure to hit the like button if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll talk to you next time.